5. Pine was dead. Not just his paths, but the man himself. To Uchiha Bito aka Tobi of the Akatsuki, it was of not great loss. The man was dying for some time now and was only alive due to his Uzumaki genetics. What did matter was the Uzumaki had somehow learned of the Moon Eye plan, via Zetsu's death, and decided to ruin it. Not only did the fool Nagato manage to weaken him during their fight, but stalled him long enough for his paper bitch of a woman to take the Rinnegan eyes once belonging to Uchiha Madara, and leave aim for Konoha. He would have pursued Konan, but Nagato had used the last of his chakra to create a barrier seal tied to his life force that prevented him from leaving it. Even the Uchiha's own Kamui ability was proven ineffective and had to wait until Nagato died, which sadly was several days. Damn Uzumakis and their seals. It was any wonder their clan was destroyed. Zetsu had done his job well over the years in manipulating certain events to bring fear to the hearts and minds of others when it came to that clan. The Uzumaki and their intimate mastery over Funjutsu would have been a threat to the overall plan, at least according to the plant creature. And he had gone from village to spread fear of the clan, all in order to make them ally against the Uzumaki clan and prevent their skills in Funjutsu from being allowed to grow. Only now, it seemed that skill had come back to bite him, and the Moon Eye plan right in the ass for one last act of defiance. By the time Obito got free from the seal barrier, he was sure Konan had already made it to Konoha. Going anywhere else would be foolish, and told them everything she knew. Considering she was Nagato's right hand and knew about him being the true leader, Obito knew he would have to act on his own at this point. He would have to take out all the heavy hitters from each shinobi village in order to truly break them long enough for him get all 9 Bijou into the statue. The Uchiha had hoped to revive Madara to make things easier in crushing the future opposition of the big 5 shinobi villages, but without the Rinnegan, or the Edo Tensei for that matter. Obito was on his own. Not that it mattered. Obito was strong enough to handle them all should a fight break out against them should they band together. Once all his enemies were crushed, Obito would form the Kyuubi once more, and use his eyes to take control of it in order to seal the creature into his body. With his newfound power, the Uchiha would use the moon itself to cast a worldwide Tsukuyomi, and bring the world under his control. A world wherein lived and they could be together. A world without Kushina. A world without her son or the Uzumaki clan. A world without people like Danzo, Orochimaru, and even Kakashi. A world where all things were perfect to him and him alone. We have been doing this in the wrong order. We have been targeting the weakest to the strongest of the Bijou. We should have done it in reverse. So that is what I will do. With the Kyuubi under my control, I can have it attack Konoha within its own walls, and go or Kumo next. Once done, I will target the other shinobi villages until they are broken, and disorganized with their Jinchuriki dead or badly wounded. Once I obtain all 9 beasts, I will seal them into the statue here in aim while under my Sharingan's power so there will be no screw-ups, said Obito to himself before leaving via Kamui. He never noticed blackish gray tone looking more like a statue was watching him silently before it went poof to report his findings. Konoha Hokage Tower sometime later. Konan was a big help with this intel. To think Uchiha Obito was alive all this time and even Madara himself to a point, commented Tsunade while reading the report Ibiki had given her after Konan had submitted to his interrogation. Konan even placed a preservation jar with the Rinnegan into the Hokage's hands as a show of good faith of her willingness to cooperate. Everything she knew and Nagato knew from the past to their recent actions had been written up into multiple reports for the Hokage to read. The Yondame's second student going rogue. And all because of what those white Zetsu creatures impersonating Kirinin did to his third one. Madara must have realized in order to turn Obito against Konoha, he would have to take away what mattered most to his new student. That's just cruel, said Ibiki with a sigh, since it was cruel to turn someone into a monster just so you can carry out a plan you think you made up, but really didn't. What do we do with the eyes she gave us? Asked Naruto, who felt it was necessary to hear what became of his father's remaining 2, and thought to be deceased, students. Hard to say. We could destroy them since Obito wants them badly for his plan to revive Madara and use his former sensei to put us on the defensive. Or I could transplant them into someone who can handle them, said Tsunade with Naruto looking surprised, and so did Ibiki. Not to question your judgment or ideas Hokage-sama, but the latter you just mentioned doesn't seem to be a wise choice here. Those eyes are said to be the most powerful if not most legendary Dojutsu the world has ever known. The Rinnegan is said to once belong to the eyes of the sage himself. To give someone those eyes would be risky, countered Ibiki with Naruto nodding. Yeah. And who would you choose? You can give it to the nicest guy around and he could still use those things with the intent of being a real power-hungry jerk thinking they could do whatever they wanted. Added Naruto with Tsunade nodding since it was true. Plus, from what Tsunade knew about the origin of the eyes in question, anyone with them could come to the belief they were invincible. Considering what happened, how the user of these eyes had called himself a god intent on bringing pain to the world, it was no real surprise. Still, she had one candidate, though whether he could take the change or the power that went with it was debatable. When Conan delivered these eyes, she mentioned how after saving Jiraiya Baka's stupid life, you told her along with Pine that he was in fact your cousin. A fellow member of the Uzumaki clan like yourself, said Tsunade with Naruto nodding and frowning at the same time. Yeah, I just wish he didn't go down the route he did. What was Ero Sennin thinking when he didn't take them with him from AIM? An actual member of the Uzumaki clan, and he could have brought to Konoha. My mother could have had a fellow clansman to talk to when growing up here. His presence here could have shifted the events when the fox was freed by Uchiha Bito on the night of my birth. After my birth, even with him raising me due to blood relation if my parents didn't survive, said Naruto while he was inwardly cursing Ero Sennin for his stupidity and arrogance. He was no doubt thinking with his penis, as usual, which would explain why his IQ is so small since it matches the size, remarked Tsunade while Ibiki winced at the insult and felt as if almost all the pride males everywhere head was just downsized considerably. Naruto didn't look the least bit affected by the statement, which made Ibiki conclude the boy was well secure in his masculinity on all fronts. You were about to make a point, Hokage-sama, commented Ibiki while Tsunade was looking at the jar on her desk holding the eyes of the sage. Yes. When Conan came here with the eyes, she asked that if we decided to give them to someone, it would be a person she believed would use them wisely, said Tsunade. As she saw the two shinobi in front of her look on with interest. Really? Who did she recommend? Asked Naruto curiously. You. She recommended you, Naruto answered Tsunade while Naruto looked shocked. Me? Seriously? Asked Naruto while Ibiki looked like he was just told everything he did in life never mattered and he had wasted years doing what he did best. Either that or the man was envisioning the horrible pranks Naruto would cook up with the power of those eyes at his command. Maybe both. Yes. She sees greatness in you. Conan believes in you, Naruto. While respectfully not in the way of bringing the everlasting peace Jiraiya's stupid prophecy foretold, she believes you can at the very least keep things with all 5 shinobi villages balanced. I'm inclined to agree with her. After all the good you have done, cleaning up Jiraiya's mess, exposing Danzo, Orochimaru's death, Kabuto's death, the vast majority of the Akatsuki being killed off. Is it any surprise, answered Tsunade while Naruto looked at the eyes in the jar with a sense of hesitation. This wasn't like stealing the Forbidden Scroll incident where he opened it and learned a jutsu to graduate. No. This was worse since these eyes had the power to do all sorts of crazy shit and all at the command of whoever had them in their eye sockets. Do you trust me with these things? These are the eyes said to belonging to the Sage of Six Paths after all, warned Naruto, showing a great deal of maturity for his age. Clearly the toads had taught him well. Be respectful when using power unless you wish to be corrupted by it. Strangely enough, I do trust you. Besides, if what Conan said is true, our enemy will not stay delayed for much longer. From what the woman informed us about Obito, he was badly injured, so it will take time to recover. We can use this time to transplant the eyes into you and use them against him when the attack comes. Said Tsunade with Naruto nodding, and decided that if these people, one of which was a former Akatsuki, were all willing to trust him with the sage's eyes, why not? I would also provide additional security on the Forbidden Scroll. If these eyes were part of a larger plan to bring back the real Madara, I'd bet 10 years worth of ramen the second part involves the Forbidden Scroll. Said Naruto while Tsunade agreed, since using both of those mentioned parts would spell complete doom for anyone opposing Obito if he got either one and using them together. I take it you have something in mind, asked Tsunade with Naruto nodding. I do, but I need the blood of Uchiha Obito or a close family relative you have on file to make this work, said Naruto with Tsunade raising an eyebrow. I'll get you a sample of the blood on file, but it won't be much. After the Uchiha clan was wiped out by Itachi, Danzo and the elders pushed for all the stored Uchiha blood at the hospital be destroyed since there was no point in having so much from dead people. Replied Tsunade while Naruto frowned. Let me guess, he oversaw the operation, asked Naruto with Tsunade frowning. Yes. Though we have confirmed Danzo did destroy most of the blood from all of the documents found in his root base underneath Konoha. I would wager he gave some to Orochimaru to help with the experiment regarding that abomination for a hidden arm he was concealing. Said Tsunade, knowing that whatever samples Danzo gave Orochimaru was not enough for the Sannin to use for his own personal use. I just need enough of what is on file. Barely a vial of it. His medical records have a seal holding some right, offered Naruto, since he knew medical records also held a single vial of the blood taken from the patient's last physical. Yes. Though we'll have to dig through the medical archives to obtain it. Up until now, the man has been presumed dead after Kakashi and fellow teammate Rin reported his death. Though the file should be there. I did the physical myself and drew the blood in it, so getting the vial shouldn't be difficult, said Tsunade with Naruto nodding. I'll do the security measure first. Once done, you can begin the transplant, said Naruto, since securing the scroll of seals first was the best choice. Besides, Tsunade would need time to prepare for the operation for transplanting the eyes anyway. Konoha sometime later. Obito was not in a good mood. The phantom pain from his injuries were acting up. He was able to get some of the white Zetsu parts to replace what was damaged during the fight with Nagato's six paths and Konan's interference. Unfortunately, the parts Obito needed were not up to par with what he had prior to the injuries sustained in the battle. The paper bitch had sabotaged his entire supply of body parts and organs, including his own supply of Sharingan eyes he obtained when the Uchiha clan was killed before Danzo's root had come to take the rest. No matter. Once he had the forbidden scroll of sealing, the Uchiha intended to unleash a whole shitstorm down upon Konoha before targeting the other shinobi villages. He just needed to subdue some of the stronger Jounin-level shinobi in the village before he used them for his sacrifice to bring back a few notorious S-ranked nin of legend. One would be Uchiha Madara, of course, but Obito wanted some extra muscle he could call upon to protect him when getting all 9 bijou sealed into the statue. Using Kamui, the Uchiha entered the Hokage's office knowing she wasn't there so late at night unless it was a major emergency. Walking to the safe where the scroll of sealing was located, Obito easily used the combination he knew would open it. In a rare act of sheer stupidity to those wearing the hat, the combination had never been changed since the time of the Shodaime Hokage. The combination itself was meant to be known only to each Hokage in power, but there were times when a certain select group of people learned it as a sign of trust by the Hokage in question. But in Obito's case, it was in the form of Orochimaru when he joined the Akatsuki after he went wrong. The Sandaime during the Third Shinobi War had planned to retire and was going to name Minato the Yondaime Hokage in the coming weeks. Orochimaru had gone wrong soon after before joining the Akatsuki and unknowingly revealed it to him under the powerful hypnosis the Sharingan can create on someone. He could have used it to get the Edo Tensei, but at the time, Obito didn't know Orochimaru even knew how to use the jutsu. It wasn't until the Sannin used it when attacking the Sandaime did the man realize what a lost opportunity it had been on his end. One he now planned to fix here and now. Only this time, the end result would favor him, outside of Konoha's secret location. Naruto smirked when he saw Obito appear in front of him. A look of shock behind his masked face was no doubt there since he was looking around frantically. No doubt he had just touched the forbidden scroll of seals and the next was found here. No sooner had the masked Uchiha appeared did Naruto give the signal and a barrier went up around the two men. Hello Tobi. Or should I call you by your real name, Uchiha Obito? Asked Naruto while Obito glared at him behind his mask. So you know, commented Obito before his eyes widened when he saw the blonde's eyes and the fact they were no longer blue. Conan told us a lot about you. Not to mention the toads are excellent for spying. I just needed to have some of them who are indigenous to aim hoping around. No one is the wiser. Not even you. They have been spying on you and the Akatsuki for some time and telling me all about your movements. Add to the fact Nagato killed Zetsu after ripping out his soul. I know the truth about the reason behind your actions, and how you are just a puppet for the real mastermind behind this. Said Naruto with Obito scowling before he removed his mask to reveal his scarred face. Madara does not control me. My actions are my own, said Obito while Naruto scoffed. Madara? I never said it was Madara. Hell, he was being used like a puppet too. Black Zetsu was never Uchiha Madara's will. It was Kaguya, the mother of the Sage of Six Paths. She tricked Madara into thinking Zetsu's will was his own. Zetsu was going to use you, Madara, and everyone else they could get their hands on to fulfill her ambition to one day return to the land of the living after being sealed away by her own sons during their battle. Explained Naruto while Obito narrowed his eyes at him. No, the Moon Eye plan would have brought peace. Zetsu explained it to me in great detail. There is no way he could make that up, said Obito while Naruto shrugged. Oh, the Moon Eye plan was real. But you wouldn't be the one to use it. Kaguya would be the one to use it. She would trap us all in the infinite Tsukuyomi just like you wanted to do. But unlike your version of things, those who oppose her would either be dead, or be trapped in the Jinjutsu living a lie created within own minds until eventually, we die. Answered Naruto while Obito looked livid at his words before calming down slightly. It doesn't matter. The Moon Eye plan will bring about peace to the world. With it, I will be able to have Rin by my side. With it, my dream will become reality. With it, no one I care about will die while those who are insignificant will not longer exist. Exclaimed a now clearly deranged Obito while Naruto frowned. Even after hearing the truth, you still want to go through with this. All for what? A girl that is dead and can't come back to you unless she is an illusion? A fake made from your own imagination and memory of her? What happens when you get tired of her, Obito? When the joy from being in the illusion and lie become too painful to handle whenever you see the fake standing there, will you destroy the illusion? The Jinjutsu itself? When the lie becomes more painful than the truth, asked Naruto while Obito looked angry and was not amused. My world will become real. My world is all that matters. Rin is all that matters. I will have Rin back. One way or another, exclaimed Obito while Naruto scoffed again. If that were true, why not use the Edo Tensei to bring her back? You could have tricked Orochimaru into doing it and wrestle control of her from him using your Sharingan. Hell, you could have asked him for the hand signs for the Edo Tensei. But you didn't. Why? Because you know if you do, the real Rin would disapprove of your actions. You want to live a lie because the fake Rin wouldn't care and you can lie right to her face every time if the question ever came up. Face it, Obito. You want to live a lie because the truth is far too painful to live in and the very thought of ending your life for the next world scares you even more. All because we both know that if you did die one way or another, the place where Rin-na resides, you cannot enter. Ever, said Naruto harshly while Obito seethed in rage at his words. Since deep in his heart, Obito knew the words spoken by Naruto were completely true. Deep down, the Uchiha did fear his own death. After all he had done, the things he had helped orchestrate, the lives taken, good lives, honest lives. Obito knew where his soul was going upon his death. It was going south. The deep south. Rin was no doubt located in heaven and happy there. He could have used Edo Tensei once learning it or used his Sharingan to make Orochimaru do it before taking control afterwards. But as Naruto had said, Rin would have seen his actions and disapproved of them. Yelled at him. Screamed at him. She would have denounced his actions. Denounced their friendship. She would have called him a monster. So yes, Obito chose to create a lie. Create a false Rin. Simply because the fake one would not care. Would not hate him. Would not judge him. Because the lie was easier to handle over the truth this world produced. But was he going to openly admit it? And to his late sensei's brat? Hell no. Shame, your opinion means nothing to me. All that matters is my ambition becomes real and Rin is by my side. While you, your father, mother, and every other person opposing me are removed from existence. Exclaimed Obito while Naruto smirked. Then come at me. I have something you want. Something you need. Not only the fox in my belly, but the eyes of the sage himself. This barrier will ensure no one interferes in our fight. It will also nullify your ability to use Kamui just in case you decide to act like a fucking coward and retreat. Just like you did with my father when he bested your stupid ass, said Naruto while Obito clenched his teeth and fist. And yet I was the one to walk away from the fight alive. Not him. His victory over me was hollow. He died. His wife died. You were left to rot in a village that hates your guts. That will keep hating your guts, even if you become Hokage. I imagine it will be difficult to rule over a village that would sooner burn itself to the ground over accepting you as its ruler, said Obito mockingly while Naruto shrugged. Well, if the people don't like me as Hokage, they can either kill themselves or leave the village and go live in a cave. When it comes to the arrogant, the bigots, and the overall assholes Konoha has produced, I honestly don't give a fuck about them. If they were to be attacked right here, right now by an invading force, I would simply let them die. I would spare only those who were worth sparing, said Naruto openly without shame in his heart. Your parents would be disappointed in you, commented Obito with Naruto smirking at him. Not really. They both left a piece of themselves inside of the seal as a failsafe just in case things went south in holding the bijou at bay. I told them everything that happened to me during my childhood and everything else following it. They agree with me and my way of thinking that I should protect only people worth protecting and say fuck you to everyone else in the village. Oh, by the way, the fuck you part 1 just quoted? That was addressed to you too. In fact, my mother went on a rant calling you a crybaby bitch, who wouldn't be able to satisfy any woman, let alone Rin. Because of your inadequately small dick was equipped with a quick shot motion attached to it while her hair came alive. It was actually quite a sight, said Naruto while seeing Obito looking even more enraged. I should have slowly killed your bitch of a mother after I ripped the fox from her gut. Exclaimed Obito angrily. Yeah well, as she so adequately put in her rant, fuck you too, said Naruto with Obito now moving to injure and take the eyes from the blonde Uzumaki. Only for Naruto to grab the offending hand reaching for the eyes. You're fast. But I fought and trained under people much faster, said Naruto before he was stabbed in the gut by a kunai in Obito's free hand. They should have trained you to be smart instead of fast. I'm taking the fox from you and I'm taking those eyes, stated Obito, but was shocked when the Naruto in front of him went proof in front of him. It was a shadow clone. And found a pair of hands grabbing his ankles to yank him into the ground. They did. In fact, they trained me to be both smart and fast. Shame it couldn't be said for you and your clan. One would think that the student of the Yondaime Hokage and Uchiha Madara himself would have actual brains to go with his so-called strength. Of course, it is no real wonder you are considered to be a disappointment, said Naruto after popping up from the ground and staring at Obito with amusement. I have more knowledge and skill in my right hand than you do in your entire body, said Obito before getting out of the hole after using his chakra to burst out of it violently. That might be true, if not for the fact masturbation doesn't count as a skill. If it did, you would not doubt be considered a prodigy in the field, mocked Naruto while Obito's face now matched the color of his eyes and charged the Uzumaki in a fit of rage. I'm going to fucking murder you. I'm going to rip the fox out and turn it on Konoha. I am going to laugh as the Kyuubi spills the blood of this village. Any and all friends you have here will die and I will laugh as they are all slaughtered, exclaimed Obito while he launched himself at Naruto with pure taijutsu while his Sharingan eyes were spinning. Difficult to do when you can't even land a hit on me, said Naruto before he caught Obito's fist with his bare hand and kneed the Uchiha in the balls, hard. Your father wouldn't have done that. Gasped Obito before Naruto did it again and the struggling Uchiha wondered why he didn't phase through the hit. I'm not my father. And to answer the question no doubt running through your head, the seals I placed on you along with the barrier also nullified your little pussy move. I mean honestly Uchiha, phasing when someone tries to hit you? What? You can't handle a punch from someone? A kick? I've been punched, kicked, stabbed, and poisoned since I was a child. Yet when it comes to taking hits from someone like me, the first thing you want to do is phase through it because of your fear of a little pain. Ha! Some big bad Uchiha you claim to be. Madara must have been desperate to choose you as a student before his death since taking a single hit practically makes you want to pee yourself like a baby. Mocked Naruto before quickly headbutting Obito while the Konoha headband on his forehead did extra damage. Seals? When did he put seals on me? Was it his shadow clone? Thought Obito before he was struck again and again by Naruto with the blonde shattering the Uchiha's right leg. You are weak Obito. It's no wonder you hid yourself from everyone with that fucking mask. You didn't train. You didn't fight. You simply use your fucking Sharingan eyes to do the leg work. But take the powers of the Dojutsu away and fight someone like me on even ground? You're just a weak chicken shit pansy. Stated Naruto before taking out a kunai covered in wind chakra and sliced it across Obito's face in an X formation causing both Sharingan eyes out of the Uchiha's sockets. In addition, the piece of him that were the spare Zetsu parts, such as his arm he had taken from storage had been sliced off next. Obito would have screamed out further in pain, but Naruto flipped the kunai until the ring base of the weapon hit the Uchiha right in the jaw 4 times. 2 to the left side and 2 to the right. The force was strong enough to break Obito's jaw entirely and had his tongue cut off next. It wasn't supposed to end this way. My dream. My ambition. I could have been with Rin again. My precious Rin, thought Obito while blood came out of his mouth while only the darkness of being recently blind was there to greet him. Don't feel back Obito. If you must know, your former teammate Hatake Kakashi is a failure in his own right too. I was his sensei's son. Yet what does he do? He trains the Uchiha on my team and leaves little old me to fend for myself when it came to training. And do you know what happened next? My said teammate goes rogue, using those very same skills my sensei taught him against me. To kill me. All for the sake of power. All to kill his fucking, far more experienced as a ninja for a big brother. Well, it doesn't matter anymore. After today, the Uchiha clan will be no more. The clan will be dead and will only be a myth or story parents tell their children, said Naruto before slicing off Obito's real hand at the wrist. I need to do something. Anything. Minato-sensei. Kushina-san. Rinchan. Hell, even Kakashi Baka. Someone, please help me, thought Obito before he heard Naruto's final words to him. Goodbye Obito. May you and the rest of your power-hungry clan rot in the lowest pits of hell alongside Orochimaru, Kabuto, Danzo, and the other members of the Akatsuki you helped bring into its ranks. Shinra Tensei, exclaimed Naruto while using a move that Konan had told him about and explained further that any other powers the Rinnegan was capable of doing would reveal themselves in time. That was how Nagato did it and he didn't really share all of his skills with her. As for Obito, he was completely obliterated from existence. All that was left was a dark black blood smear on the ground. Something Naruto burned for good measure. He didn't want anyone trying to collect DNA samples from the Uchiha's remains. Good job Naruto. At this rate, you will bleed the treasury dry of funds with all of the missing nin you have been killing off. Commented Tsunade while the 3 squads of Anbu were behind her in case things went south for Naruto in the barrier. Yeah well, it is what it is, said Naruto before the barrier went down. I was expecting more from him, remarked Tsunade about Obito. The guy hasn't been in a real fight since the one he had with my father the night I was born. Even when he did, the jerk was evasive. Always using his Sharingan to even the odds against him with the phasing and teleportation he used, answered Naruto while wondering how his father could have been challenged by Obito at the time. Though to be fair, the man was dealing with rescuing his newborn son, his wife who just gave birth to said son, and a giant 9-tailed fox rampaging around Konoha. Your actions will no doubt reach the other shinobi villages. If the Tsuchikage doesn't have a heart attack soon after hearing how you killed off so many missing nin, he will once word of your heritage reaches his ears. Said Tsunade knowing it wouldn't be long before she had to announce Naruto's heritage to the village and the storm it brought with it. So long as he and Iwa lets old grudges die with my father, I don't give a crap. But if he starts something, I will end it, said Naruto while Tsunade nodding since she respected him for that. While Minato struck fear into the heart of Iwa and the Sandaime Tsuchikage during the Third Shinobi War with his Hiraishin no Jutsu. Naruto and what he just did to so many S-ranked missing nin would make them shit their pants. I hate to say it brat, but at this rate, you'll take the hat from me in another 2 or 3 years, commented Tsunade while Naruto smirked. Maybe I should get it sooner. Having to walk in on you nursing a major hangover from drinking too much the previous night seems a valid enough reason to give me the hat, said Naruto while Tsunade glared at him. Watch it brat. I can still punch you all the way to Nami if you piss me off, threatened Tsunade and shaking her fist at him. What was that? Did you say something? Asked Naruto while giving her a nice smile. Oh that's it. Come here brat. I'm going to smash your face in. Exclaimed Tsunade while she chased Naruto around the training ground and the Anbu watching now sporting a sweat drop coming down the back of their masked heads. Should we say something? Asked one Anbu ferret while watching Tsunade try, and fail, to smash her fist into Naruto, who at that point leaped into the air and flipped her the bird and blew a raspberry at the woman. Do you want to die or be sent to the Uranaiku? Asked the Anbu captain while they saw Tsunade looking livid and continued her pursuit of Naruto into Konoha. That depends. Do I get hazard pay? And if I do, how much? Asked the ferret Anbu while hearing Tsunade cursing Naruto the deeper they went into Konoha. In order? No. And even if you did, it wouldn't be enough to cover your medical bills, said the Anbu captain since he knew Ferret had been looking for an excuse to get some form of vacation time. Though there were less painful ways to do it, Konoha Hospital Jiraiya's ring room later that night. Sleeping well Ero Sennin? Asked Naruto while walking into the room casually. So, you have come crawling back to me. I knew you would, grumbled Jiraiya while Naruto smirked and stepped out of the darkness and showed the sand in his eyes. You couldn't be more further from the truth. The Akatsuki is no more. Your former student Nagato is dead. Your second student, Konan, gave me the men's eyes to use how I see fit. The Uchiha who freed the fox from my mother is dead too. I killed him. I have done what you could not twice over. I avenged your pathetic sensei by killing his most favorite of students. And I avenged my parents by killing the man who murdered them through his machination the night I was born, said Naruto while Jiraiya grit his teeth in anger and frustration. You shouldn't have those eyes. They are not meant for an immature brat like you, said Jiraiya bitterly. And who do you think is a better choice? You? Kakashi? Maybe some other person who is a big fan of your cheap smut perhaps. Do you honestly think Tsunade or even Conan would trust these eyes to a whiny man-child like yourself? They would sooner revive the infamous Uchiha Madara and start the next Shinobi war before entrusting you with such things," said Naruto coldly while Jiraiya glared at him with an intense amount of hate. "And you are a better choice? A whiny brat who couldn't handle the Kyuubi and whined like a baby when I didn't give him his bottle," countered Jiraiya angrily. "First, I am a far better choice over you, Ero-sennin. The toads did what you could not and would not do. They took my training seriously. They saw greatness. They knew your way of doing things was a fast track to a quick death simply because you didn't do shit. As for whining like a baby, aren't you being tad hypocritical? How many times did you whine to your feces throwing sensei when he favored the snake over you in terms of your training? How many times did you whine when no one gave you the respect you claimed to deserve for peeping successfully on women for one day without being brutally beaten to a pulp? How many times did you whine when my mother viciously stopped you from mooching off my father and his fame during his shinobi career? Do not speak to me about whining and not getting my bottle from you, Ero-sennin. We both know you have been trying to milk multiple bottles for years just to stay relevant. As of right now, the tap for any such bottles is officially turned off," said Naruto coldly while Jiraiya was livid at being told his attempts to stay in the limelight and cast his shadow were now over. If he only knew Naruto destroyed the statue using explosive tags filled with nature chakra to turn the area underneath AIM, with Conan's assistance, into a giant sinkhole. "You can't do this to me. People will know something is happening when I'm not around. Important people. People who read my books. People who love my smut. When they find out you and Tsunade are keeping me like this, they will march here as an army to liberate my person," stated Jiraiya while mentally envisioning his newly formed army of loyal readers, both civilian and shinobi alike, storming Konoha to free him from this hospital of a prison. "Don't be so full yourself. You're not that important. You're lucky I'm paying for your funeral," said Naruto before he started walking away. "Funeral? What are you talking about? I'm not dead," protested Jiraiya angrily while he saw Naruto stop and looked back to smirk. "Officially, you will be labeled dead tomorrow. Source? A couple hundred STDs found in your system had mutated into one big superbug that caused your dick to fall off, your testicles to shrivel up, and ultimately cause your heart to explode from the stress. As for the real story, you are going to fade away in here, in the darkness of this room, all alone. Slowly wasting away," said Naruto while Jiraiya looked shocked. "What? You can't do this to me," exclaimed Jiraiya with Naruto smirking. "This is your punishment, Ero-sennin. I beat you in combat. I surpassed you in just about every single way. Wasn't hard to do actually," commented Naruto while Jiraiya seethed in his body cast and glaring at the boy. "I'll heal eventually, brat. I always do. And when I get out of here, the world will know the truth," exclaimed Jiraiya while Naruto suddenly turned around and became deadly serious before walking over to the now slightly afraid Sannin. "The truth? Truth? You want to talk about the truth? How about I reveal the truth of how you kept so much from me? Or used an old toad beyond his prime to see into a possible future and use it for your own goals? How you provoked the people to turn on Orochimaru, resulting in him joining Danzo's route, allowing the Warhawk to twist his mind, and becoming the very monster Konoha has feared for years. Or how you and the Sandaime lied to me for years just so the Kyuubi Jinchuriki would remain stupidly loyal to people who hate him. Maybe I should reveal the truth about how you knew I was your godson and the son of the Yondaime Hokage and still treated me like I was just a mindless weapon to control? Or how about the truth that you have forced female spies in your network to sleep with you or else information about their past is revealed? I'm sure a lot of people would love to know the truth about how the great and gallant Jiraiya of the Sannin got off on practically raping the women within his own spy network both before and after getting information from them, right?" asked Naruto coldly while Jiraiya was now shocked, afraid, and angry all mixed together. "You would do that to me? You would destroy my great reputation? My greatness? To your own godfather," demanded Jiraiya angrily at what Naruto was threatening to do. "You have no greatness. You have no great reputation. Only an infamous one where the people look at you with disgust. Besides, it's the truth. And another painful truth for you is this: they hate you, Jiraiya. No likes you. No one loves. No one cared about you. They only tolerate you because of your smut, and even that is a stretch. So you can choose to die with only a small sliver of dignity in this room, or you can resist and have your sins exposed to the world with the people demanding you suffer a violent death." exclaimed Naruto angrily before grabbing Jiraiya's cast-covered skull and yanked him painfully forward at a painful angle. I should have killed you as a baby. I was so tempted to do it. The source of my student's death. The source of the village's pain. I could have done it and achieved such a glorious praise from the villagers and shinobi who suffered from the creature's destruction. The only thing that stayed my hand was your usefulness as its weapon and the fact the bijou would reform in 9 years with no Uzumaki around to hold it. Confessed Jiraiya while Naruto narrowed his eyes at him. And leave your precious village defenseless? We both know a shinobi village needs its Jinchuriki far more than a Jinchuriki needs a shinobi village. Do not act like the value of your life is far greater than someone like myself. It's not. You are worthless, Jiraiya. You have always been worthless. The only reason no one has called you out on the truth of the matter is most likely because there were people who wouldn't tolerate it coming to light. Most likely out of it pity, but that's beside the point, countered Naruto while Jiraiya was seething in rage at the insults being aimed at him and hitting where it hurt the most. You will never bring peace to the world and fulfill the prophecy with that attitude, remarked Jiraiya with Naruto smirking. Who said I was going to bring peace to the world or fulfill some damn prophecy you are itching to see happen? I'm not. In a few years, I am going to be the next Hokage. I will have my dream and ambition come true. If Iwa wants to start a war, let them. If Kumo wants to join in the fighting, let them. I will personally crush anyone who tries to take away my village. My home. My previous people who live Konoha. I'll see to it that the enemies I face suffer such losses that they piss themselves silly and have nightmares at the very mention of my name. Not yours. Mine. So enjoy your time in the darkness here, Jiraiya. Enjoy the solitude. This is your punishment for being the pathetic loser who was so desperate to get out of the shadows of his betters, set things in motion that caused all sorts of problems for the world. In many ways, the prophecy you want to see fulfilled is where one of your students has to clean up your fucking mess. As far as I'm concerned, your mess will be removed through the sands of time. Let it do the work in fixing what you broke, said Naruto before leaving the room. Naruto. Get back here, you little shit. I won't be denied what is mine. Naruto. Naruto. Yelled Jiraiya angrily and didn't realize the blonde had put a paralysis seal on his face when grabbing him through the body cast so it was impossible to move out of the bed. It would be the last time someone ever saw Jiraiya alive ever again. Epilogue years later. True to his word, Naruto became the 6th Hokage of Konoha. Much to the displeasure of some people in the village. But considering there were few alternative choices, those who opposed it were silenced since Naruto was the strongest shinobi in Konoha. Not only that, but Naruto's heritage was finally revealed to the populace once ascending to the position of power. Many were shocked by this and realized how much the boy looked like his father while wondering why they didn't notice it sooner. Many people blamed the Sandaime Hokage, the elders, Danzo, and Jiraiya for holding the truth from them from the start, if not for the longest time. They claimed if the truth had come out, the man's son would have been protected since his birth. Naruto felt they were just being shallow. In his eyes, it shouldn't have mattered if he was the Yondaime's son or not. He was still Naruto and was the one holding the angry bijou from destroying Konoha. If they couldn't accept him as a hero without his father's name attached to it from the beginning, the people were not truly loyal. Just a bunch of morons who were more vain, if not foolish in terms of position than even he realized. Morons he was going to have to properly educate in truly seeing the gravity of their sheer stupidity so the next generation wasn't so stupid as them. The first thing Naruto did as Hokage was to add an understanding of Funjutsu to the class curriculum for the students. Much to the disapproval to some people on the council since not everyone had a skill for it. Why add something that was not for everyone? Naruto told them even if they couldn't do Funjutsu, it didn't mean the students couldn't understand the principles or understanding the nature of Funjutsu. Not only that, but Naruto had felt the system of knowing only 3 jutsus in order to graduate was just not enough for academy students to become genin. Hence why he ordered more that in addition to those 3, the academy would have to go through a chakra level test, chakra affinity level test, and have all academy students in their assigned class rotate into random teams taking on special training missions. These type of missions would be assignments handed out by the Chunin Academy instructors to see who among the academy students worked well together. That way, when teams' assignments were decided, the ability to work well together would be a key factor. As for choosing a Jounin sensei, the Jounins themselves could request a pre-made squad, but no customizations unless necessary. Also, the jounin in question would have to give a long list of reasons why they would be qualified to teach the genin squad they wanted. If you couldn't produce a valid reason, it wouldn't happen. As for chakra level testing, it was well known that Rock Lee didn't have chakra to use, and Naruto himself had more than the previous Hokages put together. As such, Naruto wanted to ensure those with such unique circumstances would have a chance to graduate with their fellow classmates. If an academy instructor saw a student was producing too much or too little chakra when taking the tests, it was to be reported immediately. Saying to a student try harder and not giving them any source material or finding out what was causing the problem wouldn't cut it anymore. If any academy instructor neglected any of their students and used that excuse, they would be fired, and even imprisoned for it on the charges of sabotaging a potential shinobi of Konoha. Some protested his decisions for one reason or another. Some said such things would be expensive to incorporate into the academy. Others said it would risk showing favoritism to some of the academy students. Others said such programs were not meant for young academy students. What was Naruto's response? The answer was tough shit. He told them that the current batch of students the academy was producing were weak genin. All of them were placed with a jounin, who spent very little time evaluating the team, and said jounin also being forced to pick up the slack if the team passed the test given. It was unacceptable. In addition, Naruto had retired shinobi or those too injured to be active anymore, come out to the academy to teach part-time to help pass down their own knowledge to the next generation. Providing survival training information, past mission assignments, and all of the information from them. They were put in scenarios under strict supervision, where all they had were each other, their wits, and very few supplies. Sometimes the scenarios had involved no supplies at all, but the clothing they had on them. To provide an insight into the life of being a shinobi so the next generation did not think it was all about fame, glory, rescuing princesses, and daimias like some of the academy students thought the lifestyle entailed. The fact Naruto had done and achieved such things didn't mean they would in his place. Still, the end result of his decision quickly produced results with the genin that came out of the academy being more prepared for the real world. Teamed with those they knew and worked with the best with their given skills, and a jounin who was forced to sit down and actually read their profiles instead of just going for the genin test first. And decide on how to train them later approach. If jounin were going to train their genin teams, they were damn well going to put in the goddamn effort. As for the paperwork, Tsunade thought the boy would be pulling out his hair at the sheer mountain of it. Imagine her surprise when he made 5 shadow clones and had them do all the work while he kicked up his feet with a knowing smirk. When Tsunade angrily called him on not only knowing how to defeat paperwork, but also knew how to do it for years, and didn't tell her at all, Naruto just smiled at the woman. Perhaps I did know how. But if I told you, all the hard work, and the responsibility of running the village would have never truly hit its mark on an old hag like you. Tsunade's response? She tried to strangle Naruto and had to be held back by 2 squads of Anbu, Shizune, Guy, without his weights, and Kakashi using Sharingan to eventually put her to sleep. And all the while, Naruto had a knowing smile on his face. It was good to be him in the seat of power. That and revenge on Tsunade for being a neglectful member of his family was sweet. As for Kakashi, the new Hokage wasn't about to let the man get away in life without being punished swiftly, yet very much cruelly. And by cruel, Naruto was thinking of something truly diabolical, if not something close to a war crime. The punishment for Kakashi? He must avoid being hugged in a vice grip by Guy. While that doesn't sound so bad, Kakashi has to do it for 1 week straight. Again, nothing too cruel about such a punishment at first glance, except that Guy would be completely naked. Yes, naked. No weights. No clothing. No hiding his youthfulness to the world. But to give Kakashi a somewhat fighting chance of escape, Guy would be covered in grease, and had to hold on to Kakashi for a good 0.30 minutes to make it stop ahead of the week's end. Why would Guy agree to this? Because Naruto played on his pride of never refusing an actual challenge, and the hint the new Hokage gave of Guy not being able to carry out his mission challenge would look badly on the Jounin's record. It was only natural Guy would jump at the thought of completing such a challenge, while Kakashi got on his hands and knees and begged Naruto with crying eyes to reconsider this harsh punishment. Naruto of course looked Kakashi right in the eye and said 5 simple, yet earth-shattering words. Not a chance in hell. Needless to say, the entire week was pure hell for Kakashi. He spent it running through the village, dodging, ducking, running, leaping, digging, and everything else short of all out flying in the air to avoid Guy's naked form trying to hug him. While he could have let the extremely weird and naked man hug him for 30 minutes and be done with the entire punishment Naruto laid out for him, Kakashi still had some measure of pride in himself. And as a man, what little was left in not being hugged like that. Unfortunately, even he underestimated Guy's persistence in carrying out his mission. On the last day of dodging the naked man, a picture of a supposedly long-lost Icha Icha Paradise book was being sold, which distracted Kakashi for a solid 5 seconds. Those 5 seconds were all Guy needed to leap onto Kakashi from behind in a massive bear hug from which there was no escape. His screams were heard throughout the village for miles. This incident aside, Naruto's progress with his new reforms got the attention of Iwa and Kyuubi too, since neither one liked the idea of the Yondame's offspring having the title of Hokage. Both had poor history with the man for one reason or another, and the fact he was also the Kyuubi Jinchuriki was irrelevant. Well, for Kyuubi it was irrelevant since they didn't see Jinchuriki mindless creatures. Iwa was pissed off and scared all the same. Jinchuriki were seen as weapons of war and had no rights as far as they were concerned. You didn't give a weapon free will to think on who it could and could not fight. As such, Iwa made sure their two Jinchuriki were repeatedly disciplined at a young age, told they were weapons of war, had no rights, no real purpose outside of fighting for Iwa. And to have any form of independent thought was treasonous. And naturally, true to their previous actions regarding Konoha, the two Kages conspired to take Konoha down. Or rather, attempt to take Naruto down. Something which Naruto knew would most likely happen long before being mentioned offhand somewhere, and had a reformatted spy network cover things for him both inside and outside of the village. And truth be told, the sixth Hokage was no longer surprised by the sheer volume or level of information he obtained from it. As it turned out, Iwa along with Kyuubi were being secretly helped by a small sect of the civilian and even Shinobi within Konoha who hated Naruto. It didn't matter if his father was the former Yondaime Hokage or not. They hated his reforms, his changes to policies, and the fact those who wronged him were punished one way or another further fueled them to secretly commit treason. They had even hired several of Danzo's route that went into hiding. The old Warhawk had not put these men on his secret roster yet due to how recent the time was when entering into its ranks just before his death. They apparently felt they owed Danzo to kill the one who ended his life and destroy the village rather than see their lord's murders have it in his place. Such a spiteful bunch. It didn't take long to round up all the traitors within the village and put them to the sword after revealing their crimes to the masses. He had already sent copies of the proof to the fire daimyo to further validate his decision to execute them all before anyone within Konoha became a possible sympathizer and knew people with influence who could make some appeal on a guilty person's behalf. As for Iwa and Kyuubi, they were met with quick, but brutal beatdowns by Naruto along with his chosen Anbu squad he assigned himself when reports came in of incursions from both villages. Each time Naruto was on the battlefield, he sent the enemy shinobi back to their villages in pieces with a warning each time with one survivor to tell both Kages to back off or else. They chose or else when both Kages sent their two Jinchuriki against Naruto in the hopes the numbers from both Biju from their respected sides would be to their advantage. Only for Iwa to lose both Jinchuriki to Naruto after killing the Iwa Anbu with them in the Hokage meeting, everyone within a shared mindscape where they could talk without any interruption. After removing the various seals that were on Han and Roshi to ensure they were punished should they possibly step out of line, Naruto took them home back to Konoha. Keeping their status as Jinchuriki a secret, the sixth Hokage merely called them defectors who wished to leave the cruelty of Iwa behind for greener pastures. Naturally, it raised a stink with the Tsuchikage, who demanded the return of his weapons when the daimyos had called for a sit-down to prevent a war from happening. Naruto's diplomatic response was, if you didn't want to lose either one, they shouldn't have been on the front lines. Not to mention how they were treated since birth and how Iwa saw them as things instead of people. Throwing down stolen files and showing just how Iwa treated Jinchuriki since the Shodaime Hokage divided up the Biju in order to promote peace. This was, in many ways, Naruto's response to the Tsuchikage as an Uzumaki, which was, in a sense, a big fuck you, with two middle fingers to the old man. As for Kyuubi, B was given his own beatdown, as was Niijito when they fought Naruto in battle. When an offer was made to join Konoha, they refused, as the two were loyal to their village. Still, the fact Naruto beat both Jinchuriki at their best, and barely looked winded made the Raikage rethink his aggressive strategy aimed at taking down his late rival's son. Which was unknowingly the smart move on the Raikage's part since Naruto intended to cripple Kyuubi in the event he didn't back off. Not only that, but given how Naruto had the sage's eyes, both the eight and two-tailed Bijou told their vessels that under no circumstances would they give their power to fight the blonde Hokage. Not just because of Kurama sealed inside of the man, but the eyes were those of their father. To them, it would be as if they were fighting the very man who gave them all life. Not only that, but the seven-tailed Jinchuriki named Fu had found her way into Konoha after running away from Taki. When asked why she came, the green-haired girl told him that Chomei had heard through her bond with the other Bijou of your actions. She wanted to be free of the hatred her village had for her and to not be treated like an attack dog for them. In fact, Fu had never set foot in Taki, but was always speaking to a handler, who had sent orders from the Taki Shinobi Council to protect their village or else face the ever-painful consequences. And naturally, such a story pissed Naruto off to no end since it wasn't fair to Fu in the slightest that she had to fight for jerks in a village they wouldn't let her even live in. Naturally, an envoy from Taki came after hearing Fu was there. The man practically that Konoha surrender their weapon immediately. Banging his fists on the Hokage's desk, ranting and raving about village security, and the threat of denying aid to Konoha during wartime if they didn't have their property back. How they would do everything in their power to aid Konoha's enemies and see to it the village was burned to the ground with Taki taking everything and anything they want. Naruto's response to the threat? The answer was beating the living shit out of him and send the asshole to Ibiki for answers. As it turned out, the man was part of a group of Taki nin waiting outside of Konoha for him as well as Fu. Once the girl was in their possession, they were to bring her back to Taki, where the Bijou would be ripped out, and placed in a new Jinchuriki. One where they could remold into being a loyal attack dog and a boundary seal they were working on to keep their Jinchuriki within a certain radius of their village. If the Jinchuriki went past the boundary, the seal would activate, shocking the user, and alert the assigned Taki nins to bring their target back to be punished. To make matters worse, the group of Taki nin intended to take certain liberties with Fu along the way back to their village. If she got pregnant along the way as a result didn't bother them, as none would acknowledge the child. Not only that, but the child might be used anyway as the new Jinchuriki while Fu herself was kept unconscious in a medically induced coma the entire time during the pregnancy. With that in mind, Naruto ordered 2 Anbu squads to find the exact location where the group of Taki nin were located. After they did, the orders were to kill all of them, and put all the bodies in a large crate. Once the order was carried out, Naruto had said crate, dripping blood from the dead bodies, strapped to the back of the Taki nin envoy, and told him to return back to his village with what little dignity he had left while delivering a message to those running Taki. Try this shit again and I'll burn your fucking village to the ground with the giant tree you have being turned into the world's largest pile of ash. I will do what Hashirama did not have the balls to do and what Uchiha Madara could have only dreamed of doing should you so much as even think up a plan like that again. Needless to say, Taki did not complain about the loss of Fu ever again. As for Kiri, they had decided to stay neutral in regards to Konoha since they were still recovering from the past sins of a Sharingan-influenced Yagura. But Naruto had been able to square away some measure of goodwill toward them by returning Samehada to them as well as letting them know where Kyuubi was located in Wave. He only asked that if they took the sword from the grave of Mamachi Zabuza, a suitable and respectful grave marker be put in its place. In addition, he asked that the grave next to Zabuza's not be disturbed under any circumstances. If it was, Naruto made it very clear that Kiri would wish they were still fighting their civil war with Yagura again. Needless to say, Kiri had no intention of provoking the 6th Hokage with a threat like that, and knowing Naruto had the power to back it up. As for Suna, it was on good terms with Naruto. With Gaara being Kazekage, it helped in that regard since both men had mutual respect for one another given what they both went through growing up. Add to the fact that Temari married a certain lazy Nara Shikamaru to further cement their alliance between their two villages. Naruto found it hysterical that Shikamaru's feet were consumed in sand, Gaara's, to keep him from running while Naruto himself performed the marriage ceremony. The lazy Nara had gotten the woman pregnant months prior to it and Gaara had demanded, see any and all terms and definitions pertaining to threats of inflicting painful bodily harm, that one Nara Shikamaru marry his sister right away when the news reached him about it. The Nara would have tried to flee in terms of taking along S-ranked mission, but any attempt was stopped by Naruto, who smirked at the pleading Nara at the time. And Shikamaru's mother Nara Yoshino in the room with them. The strict woman was carrying her ever fear-inducing frying pan of doom before she dragged the pleading lazy bastard out of his office while he left nail marks all along the floor in the process. And yet despite the whole thing being troublesome, Naruto knew that Shikamaru was a happily married man. Sure, he took a few hits the head via Temari's iron fan, but nothing Shikamaru couldn't take given his track record with his own mother with her frying pan. It was a Nara family tradition for the wife to give their husband the occasional hit to the skull when they were being lazy, or calling their wife troublesome. As for Naruto himself, he had planned to rebuild his clan with the aid of the women in his life who cared about him. Those individuals in his life were Hyuga Hinata, Mitarashi Anko, Shizuka. She came after him again after doing much soul-searching in her life and was able to prove herself worthy. But had live-in Konoha, and his just distance enough cousin Uzumaki Karin after finding her in one of Orochimaru's labs. They had found out about Naruto wanting to rebuild the Uzumaki clan and decided they would help him in that regard. It was the least they could do for him outside of their own love for the blonde Uzumaki, considering he had helped them out on multiple levels. Even now, Hinata was expected to give birth soon to their son Boruto. She was going through the painful contractions, crying out in pain, trying to crush Naruto's hand with her now suddenly obtained super strength granted to her from the pain. "Ah! You did this to me. Suffer. Suffer as I suffer," yelled Hinata while she kept trying to crush his hand and her eyes were blazing with fury. Only Naruto wasn't feeling any of the pain. How is this possible? The answer lay in the funjutsu he put on his hand. Hinata was currently squeezing in a bone-crushing grip. The seal he put on it would transfer the pain to someone else who unknowingly had a seal on their hand. As to the unsuspecting person, well, with Shikamaru. "Ah! Why? Why am I feeling so much pain?" yelled Shikamaru while gripping his hand and rolling around on the floor. "Serves the lazy bum right. He actually tried to get a long-term mission around the time I was going into labor with our child. Crushing his hand during the contractions was too merciful. This is so much better to watch and see from this perspective," thought Temari with a smirk while feeding their child and seeing her husband suffer. Naruto had secretly put the seal on Shikamaru after the man had fainted from the pain he got from holding Temari's hand during her pregnancy. It wasn't hard to convince her to let him do it in secret given soon a woman's hormonally imbalanced state when giving birth. The angry, at the time, woman demanded the lazy bum suffer long after she had brought their child into the world, and Naruto's proposition fit in perfectly with her form of revenge. "Why aren't you helping me? It hurts," yelled Shikamaru while Temari just watched Shikamaru rolling around in the ground in the pain while their child laughed at the man's suffering. Back with Naruto. "I am not giving you another child after this. Never," yelled Hinata while she glared at Naruto while he looked completely calm despite the vice grip his wife had on his hand currently turning purple from the strength applied to it. "They say that now, but later will come the apologies, kissing, groping, and apology sex that comes with it," thought Naruto from his past experience with Anko, Shizuka, and Karin with their pregnancies. Naruto was actually surprised Shikamaru didn't realize what was wrong with his hand or suspected what was wrong had been done by him. Then again, the man was dealing with his own wife, their child, Gaara as a brother-in-law. And the overwhelming pain the seal on Shikamaru's hand sent when Naruto's wives tried to hurt their husband when in labor. Oh well, best not to think of it. After all, why make the Nara suspicious? I hope you guys enjoyed. See you next video.